Must go fast. This is Kal Kat, Kal Katster, and this is a review of Sonic the Hedgehog. Previews were for a Groot prequel to the Despicable Me. There was also sort of a prequel, Groot. There was Scoob, the Scooby-Doo remake, reboot, prequel. There's some other unexciting movie thrown in there as well. Then we come to Sonic the Hedgehog. It was a movie that was going to come out in November, but they went back and the internet freaked out because of the Hedgehog graphics looked terrible. Went back and made them look more like the game, thus inadvertently making him look more like a cat, giving him like expression, big eyes and stuff, giving his face a little more of a cartoony sort of thing. A bit like the earlier Rocky and Bullwinkle movies from years ago. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing necessarily. It really reminded me of the Boris and Tasha and Rocky and Bullwinkle movies, which were not good. The Rotten Tomatoes is giving it about 65%, so it's like, well, it's fine. I kind of agree with them. It's fine. It's I would give it a little higher than that, maybe 70, 72%. It's 3 stars, basically, a little over 3 stars. Yeah, it's fun. At least Jim Carrey is he's channeling Dr. Robotnik's. He doesn't quite look the part of Dr. Robotnik's until the ending credits teaser. There's a teaser. Stay for the credits. See the teaser. There's also another credit sequence in the teaser with another character from Sonic. I won't give it away. You can see that too. I watched about 5 minutes of the Stone Gremlins review of this film before going to see it. And they reacted like were we the only people there that were our age watching this movie, and so we weren't, but yeah, so that we were. Hold on, and and so I fix that. Now I won't do that. The Stone Gremlins thing, it was, they were saying that the audience was mainly 30-somethings that liked Sonic the Hedgehog the game at their audience. A lot of the times, though, when Stone Gremlins in Chicago does their show, they go to a late screening that's after 10, and they see a movie, and they do a midnight. At midnight, they do a review, so that it's the day before they did their review. In terms of when you watch it, or they go to a special screening where sometimes it's a different hour of the day. You're gonna have a different audience after 10 than in the evening than you're gonna have at 10 in the afternoon on a weekend. It's gonna be a different audience. So vastly different audience. This movie, he might have had just adults his age in that movie, as he probably did during the My Little Pony movie. But when I went to see this movie, it was almost nothing but children, little kids everywhere with their parents. It was more so than in the My Little Pony movie. I saw that, and it was during the day on a weekend, so it was a different time period when everyone was there, little kids, and so there was the audience was packed house, 12:30 showing during the day. Insane to go there during the day, so did it anyway, and this review is not going to be all that long, I don't think, just because it's Sonic the Hedgehog, it's a video game movie. And now I'm waiting for them to do a Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong movie, that's fine. Or do a, not like Pixels, but an actual, like, they go, a CGI Donkey Kong shows up, does stuff. They gotta do that. They gotta do a new Mario Brothers as well. So. But they haven't done that yet. We have to see that. There was a Peabody and Sherman movie that was also full of little kids. And even though they didn't get it, because Peabody and Sherman was my generation, and they were like I said, generation just before mine, kind of. So, yeah, when that movie came out, there were plenty of kids there, but they didn't get it at all because they didn't watch Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's like late 70s, early 80s. That's old school. It's like, over there, the kids aren't watching that at all. This generation wouldn't even know what Power Rangers is until they released another movie. Well, they might from their older siblings, maybe. I mean, it's been off and on for 20 years, Power Rangers. They might know that, but they wouldn't know Gem and the Holograms. That was really obvious. And even the director of that movie didn't know what he was doing. Should have been Lady Gaga, obviously. But here we are with this one, and another icon from that time period, the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Sonic the Hedgehog, which tends to be an obnoxious, annoying character anyway. So his villain is Dr. Robotnik, who customarily is a giant, fat, round dude. And in this version is Jim Carrey, who's quite slim. He's as slim as me. He's but taller. He's also chewing scenery in this movie. So they just over the top, sort of. Some of the critics have said of the little snippets of stuff that I found on this. He's channeling Larry the Cable Guy and a little bit of the Truman Show and a number of other goofy things. I would say also Mad TV and his In Living Color characters. He gets to do something kind of crazy with that too. So I liked the overall look of it. It was fine. They blended in the CG well because half of it is probably green screened as CG and stuff, and so your plot of your movie is, and I don't think the game has this. I think they added that. Sonic the Hedgehog is young, and then he's being cared for by an eagle who sends him, because he's going to be attacked by other eagles, to all Guardians of the the Guardians of Gahul. Going to send him away, and so he goes into the wormhole to Earth, and it's apparently years later, and he's still sort of a teenager, I guess, but he's an alien, and he's messing around with speed. He's fast. Not on speed, but messing around with speed. Although, maybe some of the writers of this movie were on drugs, clearly. But not for those reasons. But he blows out the power. It's in the commercials. Okay, blows out the power to the state, and then that sends the army in, and then thus sends in the Dr. Robotnik, who is the expert on alien technology for some reason, and they listen to him, and he's an expert on robots. Robotnik, yeah. They send him in to take care of the situation. He, of course, takes over and acts like a sort of demagogue, sort of oligarch, I'm always right sort of character. I'm surprised that so far there isn't anybody getting all woke and frustrated and going, this guy's making fun of the president. Kind of is. But I'm okay with that. Anyways, but only indirectly. So this is a oligarch type of character who is behaving like a tyrant. So this Jim Carrey character. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. Anyway, so it's the upteenth movie so far in the past 4 years that it's had the human lead in it, in an alien sci-fi setting. Be a white male, and he's married to a black lady. That's fine. It's a little different. That's fine. But Wrinkle in Time did it, and a couple other ones did it. Yeah. Yeah, there was at least one or two others that kept. Wrinkle in Time comes to mind. The first one that did it. There were some others that did it. Yeah. So it has no bearing in the story. They cast them that way. I think the Little Mermaid that's coming out is going to be that too, a little bit. But yeah, and since the game doesn't really have any human characters, you can have human characters in it. So they invented these characters for the movie. That's kind of what throws it off a little bit. Is that the guy's kind of likable, but he's kind of a jackass. So like, he's sort of there, but he's iffy as a hero. He kind of wants to get rid of the hedgehog until he like befriends him during a bar fight in a sort of a biker bar in the middle of America somewhere. They have to go on a road trip. They have to go to San Francisco because the cop guy is originally supposed to go to San Francisco because he's getting transferred there. Meanwhile, his wife goes to hang out with her sister, who is discouraging having anything to do with him. So there's this big. So you have this older sister that's playing Medea, basically. She's being really, really obnoxious and annoying, and she's just obnoxious. And she could be white, but no, but yeah, it's like she's being Medea, basically. Like, I'm gonna tell jokes, and you should get a divorce, and yeah, it's like really annoying. So they tie her up. The sister ties her up at one point. There's a lot of scenes that are out of sequence. It starts with ballsy enough to start it starts with a flashback in the movie. It goes back to when it all started. Go back to the flashback. So he has these power rings. Sonic does, and the power rings allow him to travel into wormholes to other planets, or whenever apparently, or wherever apparently, randomly. And somehow this bag of things gets transported to San Francisco by accident because he had it written on his shirt. Transport there. The guy had a San Francisco shirt. So they got to go after them. Meanwhile, Robotnik's is following them, and one of the scenes from the trailer is the Robotnik's battle vehicle attacking them. I won't give away what happens there. It's kind of in the preview. A lot of the stuff is in the preview. The battle vehicle, the drones going, the ship, the thing at the end, which is actually the beginning of the movie, the flying V-shaped Delta, sort of a mini Osprey, one pilot kind of thing going. Looks kind of like this guy. Looks a little like her, but in robot mode, jet mode. Yeah. But yeah, it's silver. Anyway, so it's kind of a mess, but it was fun. And, it was fun. At least kids weren't freaking out in the movie, and they weren't carrying on or anything. A recent Mark's Cards discussion with Henry about movies. His friend Henry's giving away all the plots of movies, and I said, "Why doesn't Henry contact me? We could go on for. I've seen more movies than Mark's Cards does. So I could totally go on about movies all day." Anyway, so yeah, but yeah, so yeah, yeah, it was fine. It bored some of the children in the theater. They fell asleep, which was parents are watching it going, oh. Yeah. There's a guy next to me and his kid, and I don't know, 4 or 5. She fell asleep. On this side was a family. There were like 3 or 4 various ages under 10. They were awake the whole time, but the one on the left, she went, she's out. The whole thing was pouring to her. Anyway, so yeah, so Hedgehog, yeah. So these other people, I don't know who they were, but there's other people watching it. So they go to this bar. The hedgehog and the guy go to this bar, and they get in a bar fight. And he's got his powers, so he can like zip around and mess up the bar fight while it's happening. And then they go on to town. Eventually, they Robotnik's guy attacks them at one point. There's a fight with the vehicle, and then they're forced to go to the sister's, the wife's house. I guess it's the sister's house, and that's when the sister thing happens, and the daughter gives Sonic her special red shoes so he can have the Sonic shoes. She's got the shoes for some reason. Maybe she's an alien. No. Yeah, so for some reason the sister ties up the annoying sister, and then then they leave, and they leave her tied up. I just kind of messed up. Go to fight the bad guys in San Francisco. Bad guy follows them to San Francisco, the Trans-American Pyramid. They're all over the news. It's saying that he's a terrorist because it's a cover for the alien thing. Would immediately have him arrested if he showed up in the tower in San Francisco, but the Trans-American Pyramid. But it doesn't. They don't do that. Robotnik goes up there and somehow finds them, and there's a fight there. And then they go on to... Well, there's a series of different action scenes. But they find a way back through the wormhole thing. They get the rings, and they go back through the wormhole to the town, dump them off the building in order to get them back to the wormhole, so they all fall off the building. Then he follows them there through the thing with the Osprey ship. Goes in there. Follows him of course he followed him through the wormhole. Why wouldn't he? So that's where the end of the movie is, and then the action happens, and we have to end with what happens there when he gets all powered up and stuff. Yeah, so that's basically the movie. Minor plot spoilers. Of course, if you watch the 3 previews they had, they kind of tell you what the movie is about. So, right up to the scene at the end, near the end, where they literally show you Robotnik's in his red suit, and he's gonna fight the guy, and there's a mushroom planet that's mentioned too that comes into play in the end credits. Yeah, that would be a nod to something else, though. I mean, a nod to Mario, wouldn't it? It's weird, because I don't think Mario is a Sega property. Anyway, I think that's Nintendo. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, that's just... yeah, and then... Yeah, the power-up scene. They show that in one of the previews. So. You can't tell what's going on in those little 2.5-minute previews, but if you piece them all together, you'd have a little 15-minute movie that kind of tells you the whole thing. The trouble with these films is they do that. They tell you the whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a difficult plot to follow. The villain is clearly a bad guy, and the hero is clearly supposed to be a hero, and yeah, it's not that hard to follow. So, in the end, sure, fine, why not? Yeah, so that's my review of Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. All right. You can still see it in theaters. Sure, why not? It's probably, I think it is PG, but because situations seem to be intense, animation, but really I think there's I think somebody swears once, but it's not an F-bomb or anything. But yeah, it's fine. It's entertaining. I'm not sure how much replay value it'll have, though, just because of the way it's set up. Like that new Power Rangers remake movie they made, it's kind of like that, and that you kind of all these different set pieces going on, and of course that one had some weird product placement. This one doesn't do that as much. It's not as obvious. Definitely not as obvious as Batman v Superman and referencing Man of Steel referencing IHOP. It's not that bad, but there's some references to stuff. But anyway, so they didn't do that. The Power Rangers, they kept referencing Krispy Kreme donuts. This one is certain kinds of beer in San Francisco. Anyway, so that's that.